everyone, and welcome back to the Everything Coincidental Podcast. It's no coincidence you're here. I'm Abby, and as always, I'm joined with Fee.
Hello.
We hope you're all doing well. And today we're going to be chatting about, well, I'm talking about the speaking tree / oracular trees / trees of the sun and moon. They're all the same thing, but they have different names. And Fiona's talking about the
El Chupacabra. For those who don't know how to... Oh, you're going to
sorry,
say...
on you go.
For those who don't know how to pronounce it, it's Chupacabra. So if you want to break it down, it's Chupacabra. So do you want me to say it and you can say it back to me?
Yeah, go on.
So Chupacabra.
And then I'll be like Joey. I'll be like Joey.
I was hoping you'd get that.
Blah, 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 blah.
You're not speaking Chupacabra.
Oh, that's funny. I'm excited for this episode because I know nothing about the Chupacabra, and Fiona didn't even know what I was doing until just now. So
yeah, very excited, and I'm sorry if I clear my throat during this, everyone. Just in case I've still got a wee bit
be
COVID chest. That's so mean. I'm going to start smacking the mic really hard.
Or biting it. She sometimes bites the mic and it makes the most annoying noise.
And Abby hates it. She goes, stop it. And I've started like grinding my teeth on the mic. It's really disgusting that I do that. Like, it must be so infected.
Remind me never to touch your microphone.
This is actually yours. When we met Stephen, that is actually I switched them. So you've been licking the one I've been spitting.
I don't lick mine, so it's okay.
Anyway.
So I'm gonna start us off. So the speaking tree, aka oracular trees, aka trees of the sun and moon, are trees that are basically considered as a cryptid because they've been depicted in cultures all over the world and they've never been able to be disproven or proven, and that's like the definition of a cryptid, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
From what I looked up online anyway, that's what it said.
I didn't actually know that.
Yes, so there's like been stories from all over the world, but to name a few: England, Scotland, Greece, India, China, the Arctic, South America. Of course, there's some Native American stories, and also there's some Islamic lore that talk about these types of trees, which I think when there's so many cultures that talk about the same thing and depict the same thing, like all individually from each other, it gives more weight to them being real, because back in the day they wouldn't have the means to communicate with like people from different places. So I just think it's very interesting. So I'm gonna go through what this, like a little bit of background on the trees, like what they were used for in different places, and what like this, a little bit of the stories about them. Okay. I've got like the main one that I'm going to talk about is the Indian one, which is the tree of the sun and moon. So people would come to the trees and worship them and ask them questions about their lives, and they'd basically be able to prophesize what was going to happen in their future, and like they talk back to them in a human like voice. Like they prophesized future historical events and all that sort of thing. So it's really, really interesting. And like all the stories that I saw about it are about the trees prophesizing stuff, or like saying this is what's going to happen in the near future. So yeah, it's really interesting that all these stories from across the world line up.
So are they like, you know how you see pictures of trees, like shamanic trees or native trees, and like the tree's got a face in it and all that sort of thing? Is it that, or is that just like an artist's rendition?
I've not read anything that says they've got faces on them. There's a little description. There weren't really descriptions of the trees apart from the Indian tree of the sun and moon, which we'll get into later. But I mean, they could have, but it seems like information on these trees is quite limited, which makes me suspicious.
Cover up. That was so gruff. I don't know why I said it like that.
So first of all, in England, the trees were like allowed to speak with druids and people who had like a gift for divination anyway, and like, so apparently druids would consult oak trees for like if they wanted to know what was going to happen, or if they wanted an insight into what decision they should make or whatever, they would talk to the oak trees, and the oak trees would give them an answer back, like, this is what you should do, or this is going to happen to you, like that sort of thing. Super interesting. Another story, a Greek story, is there's apparently a story about two philosophers arguing beneath an elm tree in Ethiopia, and then the tree started speaking to them to like interject in their argument, like just like, I've got an opinion on this. But the annoying thing, so all these stories are going to seem like I've put no effort in, but every single one of these I looked in to try and find more of them, and this is literally all that's on them online. So I'm like, well, where are people getting this from if that's like, oh, because I typed in the Greek talking elm and like nothing came up apart from this tiny sentence I've just read you. It's really bizarre.
And see, when you're saying that the tree talks back to them, does it like actually talk back like how we're talking right now?
Yeah, so it talks back in a like human, it says a human like voice, but it like speaks to whoever in the language.
And they can hear it out loud. It's not in their heads they're hearing it, like it's out loud.
No, it's out loud, and we'll get to that later, but
okay.
Yeah, it's super weird. In Ireland, a tree can help a person look for a leprechaun's gold. Although normally the tree doesn't know where the gold is, whatever that means.
No one does. Yeah.
Again, I looked that up more, couldn't really find anything on it, so I don't know where that came from. But anyway, this one probably has more weight behind it. This is the weeping date palm tree, and it's Islamic lore. So apparently Muhammad was when he used to deliver his sermons, he used to do it like leaning or standing in front of a date palm tree, and basically they built like a pulpit somewhere else where he started to go and give his sermon, and like the first time he went to do it, they heard a crying noise and they noticed it was the tree behind them, and he went and basically embraced the tree, and he was saying, oh, the tree's crying because it's not getting all the religious knowledge and stuff like that it used to get. And apparently like all of his congregation saw this, and like it's recorded in like authentic Islamic scriptures and stuff like that as being like a true story that happened, and lots of people witnessed it. So I thought that was really interesting, and the fact that it's included in like their scriptures and stuff, again, just puts more weight behind it as potentially being true. It's just really interesting how they're all, I don't know, it's just fascinating.
Yeah. See, with the tree there, you'd think that it would have knowledge already, because obviously the trees were here before us, and you know how they're meant to be like a sort of gateway from the ground to the sky.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I think it maybe
you can still learn, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it potentially, like, it's kind of making it out like it wasn't aware of the knowledge that Muhammad was like talking about religion and stuff, but obviously religion's a kind of man-made thing, if you will. So it could be that it liked hearing the stories or whatever, but I just thought that was interesting.
Potentially, yeah.
Now on to the good bit, which I went down a rabbit hole with.
Oh.
So the Indian tree of the sun and the moon, it told the future, and basically it was a tree that like two parts of the trunk spoke depending on the time of day. So in the daytime it spoke as a man, and then the nighttime it spoke as a female. And basically the way it worked is, apparently, like it worked with the sun and the moon, but when the sun was just rising, it would, I just knocked the mic, sorry. When the sun was just rising, it would speak. Then when the sun hit about midday, it would speak again, and then when the sun was setting, it would speak again. So like the sun side, the male side, would speak 3 times, and then same with the moon. When the moon was just rising, it would speak. When it's midway in the sky, it would speak again, and then when it's setting, it would speak again. So like it's not like people were going up to it all day and asking it questions. There's like 3 times a day, or 6 times a day if you include both, where you could ask the tree like, look, what's the deal, what's going to happen. First credible encounter is Marco Polo, who
No way.
was a Venetian merchant who people believe to have travelled across Asia. He apparently saw and witnessed the tree, and he described it as being tall and thick with bark that is green on one side and white on the other. The wood of the tree was yellow and extremely strong. Apparently there were no trees near it for miles, and the locals worshipped it because they considered it to be holy, which is understandable. I mean, if you find a talking tree that tells the future.
Absolutely.
So that's the first credible source, I guess. Again, this was all a long time ago, so you don't know what's been skewed, what's been mistranslated, what's been whatever. And that moves on to the next one, which this just blew my mind, but there's a lot of smoke and mirrors about it. I don't know if this is true, I don't know if it's not true, but I've got a little bit to say about it. So Alexander the Great is said to have visited this tree. Apparently, so basically there was this letter, which is a letter from Alexander the Great to Aristotle, but people largely think this letter is fictional and wasn't written by him. But when I was looking up, are the stories in it true? Who made it? Why did they make it? Why did they write this pretending to be Alexander the Great? I couldn't find much on it, unless, I don't know if I just didn't deep dive enough into it, but I was really struggling to find it. However, I did find this. The letter from Alexander the Great to Aristotle is considered to be apocrypha. I don't know if that's how you say it. Which are the works usually written of unknown authorship or doubtful origin. The word was first applied to writings which were kept secret because they were vehicles of esoteric knowledge considered to be too profound or too sacred to be disclosed to anyone other than the initiated. It was later applied to writings that were hidden not because of their divinity, but because of the questionable value to the church. What does that remind you of? Celestine prophecy. So I just thought that was really interesting, because again, struggling to find out what the deal is with this supposed letter. And then when I looked it up, it said it's considered apocrypha. I think that's how you say it. Which is it could be that it's unknown who it's written by, but also it's to do with things being too profound or stuff that doesn't help the church. So I just thought you'd find that really interesting. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole with it. The information,
the best.
Yep. The information on this is very mixed. But basically Alexander went to the tree with 10 of his friends and with some people who spoke the native tongue at that time. And basically I don't think he asked it a question the first time actually, but the tree said to him, "You will die soon at the hands of your friends." Then later he asked again, I think it was for the moon one, he asked, if I'm going to die soon, am I going to get to be reunited with my mother and my wife? Am I going to get to see them again? Am I going to return to my home? And it said, "King Alexander, you must die in Babylon. You will be slain by your own people and you will not return to your mother." And then again later he asked, how long have I got left? Again, I think he asked about his mother again. And the tree said, "The years of your life are at end. You will not return to your mother, but you will die in Babylon. After a short time, your mother and wife will die badly at the hands of your friends. Your brother too, killed by those around you. Do not ask about these things any longer. You will not hear anything more about what you ask." So, all very interesting. However, the most interesting part is that Alexander the Great is believed to have died of either malaria or being poisoned. He's believed to have been poisoned by either one of his wives, one of his generals, his half-brother, or one of the cupbearers, all people which are close to him and could be considered friends, like what the tree said. It's impossible to know how he actually died, because to know that, people now would have to look at his body, and of course there's a big mystery of where Alexander the Great's body is, so nobody can tell now how he died. So of course that's a big mystery. I just loved this story. He did die in Babylon, which the tree said. His mother later, I think a few years after his death, when people were fighting over his throne, was stoned to death by families of people who she had killed. So she did die in a horrible way. His wife and kids were executed at a later date by Cassander, who basically he took Alexander's throne and had killed his son because his son was the heir to the throne, obviously. Alexander and Cassander knew each other, but they weren't close friends. But again, it adds weight to what the tree said. It said, your brother too, killed by those around you. So,
and what are the chances, right, that basically his body is what could prove the existence of this tree? What are the chances that his body is missing that could prove the existence of the speaking tree?
I know, it's really interesting. And again, I don't know the accuracy of this story. People online seem to say that the letter is fictional, which it may well be, but I just thought it was really interesting, regardless, that both Marco Polo and Alexander the Great are linked to this tree in India, which tells the future. Something I wanted to touch on, it was funny, I found about this tree recently because like just before I found out about it, my dad was talking to me about how intelligent trees are. And basically, apparently it's been discovered recently that trees can actually communicate with each other, and they can they've got like a whole network under the ground. So like if say one of them has a disease, they'll send signals under the ground to the other trees and be like, look, I've got this disease, do what you need to do to protect yourself from it, and the trees will accordingly change what they're doing to make sure they're protected by it. So I know that seems kind of unrelated, but if they can communicate to each other in that way and they're smart enough to do that, who's to say that back in the day when people's minds were more awakened to stuff and we weren't being dumbed down by social media and the news and all that, who's to say that we couldn't somehow communicate with trees as well? I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, aren't trees probably one of the most ancient things on the world? It would make sense that they would have these abilities. Oh my god! This is so interesting.
And lots of like religions and cultures really like look up to trees and respect them and all that sort of thing.
No pun intended.
And it's just incredible. Like I think they're just incredible. I was gonna say creatures, but they're not creatures. They're trees. But like trees are just amazing. And on shamanism as well, they use them to go to the underworld, and like they're used a lot in that sense. It's just amazing, and I think there definitely is, if not talking trees, I think there's something to it, as in you can find wisdom from the trees. I very much believe that, and I think still today that's probably the case. My grandpa today was actually talking to me. He's a Christian, and he says that he rides his bike up the country and he goes and sits under his prayer tree.
Oh.
So even he, like, even though maybe his views are that God has given him the messages, he still goes and sits under a tree to pray. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Now onto my theory.
Oh,
if you're
a wisdom is treeling.
If you're into Lord of the Rings, you probably already know what I'm going to say. My theory is the Ents are real, which Ents are the talking trees in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, right. I've not seen it in years. Right, okay.
So basically, as soon as I started reading this, I was like, oh my goodness, this sounds like Ents from Lord of the Rings. I was getting all excited about it because I'm a nerd. And then when I was looking for information on it, there was a bit underneath that had a comment section. Everyone was like, Ents are real. This is proof that Ents are real. And the last thing I want to leave off with, in honor of one of my favourite characters in Lord of the Rings, is sounds like orc mischief to me. And that's all I'll say for the
for the Lord of the Rings fans.
The end.
And scene.
Scene.
That's so interesting though. I'm genuinely picturing like like an old native pictures of trees, and the trees have got faces in them in the trunks, and like people are talking to them. Have you seen that sort of picture before? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Definitely know what you're talking about.
That's what I'm picturing that these things look like. So, see, in Lord of the Rings, could the trees walk and stuff?
Yeah.
Or was it, I thought so. Yeah.
So the trees weren't originally trees, but they like herded trees, and then the more they did it, the more they became to look like trees. I think that's how it worked in this. But yeah, Lord of the Rings has a lot of symbolism and stuff like that in it. It's really incredible. But yeah, that was just it was just a little funny thing at the end. But yeah, what do you think about these oracular trees then? I thought you'd love it because it's so different to anything we've talked about before.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not an actual like monster either. It's there to you know, it's not out there leaving all these trails and mysteries. It's there to try help people, essentially. Oh, maybe that's what we're doing wrong. Maybe we need to go hug a tree and ask it for some advice.
But it's so funny because I had never heard of this before, but I always remember thinking, even when I was younger, and I know it's a thing that a lot of people say, is that there's wisdom in trees, and I think, I don't know, there's something to that, and that's why I just love this idea so much.
Okay. It must be because, I don't know if the thing to count the age of a tree is accurate, where you count the rings within the...
I think it is.
The stump. Is it right? Well, when you think, like, there's so many really old trees, and it's like they must have so much knowledge, I guess, in them when you think about it. Yeah, I mean, look at those big ones that are in the big forests in America that you can't even put your arms around.
Yeah,
you know,
they're massive.
Is it in like California and all that? They're huge.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, the ones you're talking about. Yeah, they're unbelievable. It's incredible, and I think we could learn a lot from the trees.
And, well, maybe when people are taking mushies and they say they hear things from the trees, that's what it is. It's actually those talking trees.
It could be. Actually, when I was looking at like the website I was looking at had like theories to debunk, it was like psychedelics.
Oh no. But then we know psychedelics might not be what we thought they were, because we learned that at the conference. So
yeah, that is very true.
Oh no, I definitely think there could be something in it. I don't see why not. And plus, like, loads of people, like I guess the hippies and stuff, were big on trees, but I suppose they're not like something we could go by. But then again, if they were taking psychedelics, and psychedelics aren't just drugs and maybe are some kind of gateway, then it would make sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think the whole tree thing is very plausible, and like I said, it might not even be that the tree is talking out loud. It could just be when people's minds were more open to things, they were more aware of what energy the tree was giving up, or they were more able to interpret what other creatures maybe wanted or were saying. Like, I know that sounds very woo-woo, but I do think that compared to back then, I feel like our brains are very limited in what they can do because we've got so many other things distracting us. Yeah,
we're very closed off, and like, I mean, it's not the most woo-woo thing we've said, let's be honest. So
no, that's true. I think talking trees is more plausible than anything else we've talked about, probably.
More plausible than time travel, a Sasquatch that can portal, Oh man, that's funny. Oh, I kind of wish there was a connection to our things now. Maybe there is. Maybe this is all connected, like what we keep saying, but we'll never know. Or will we? Dun dun dun.
This is where Fee's like, I secretly looked up this tree too, and I found out it's connected.
And the tree is called a Chupacabra. I just love saying the name.
It is fun to say.
It is. Well, shall I lead us into the Chupacabra talk?
Go for it.
Watch this, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but so yeah, the Chupacabra is a Spanish word, and it means goat sucker. Goat. I forgot to pronounce T there. Goat sucker. And it's essentially, I know, stupid, right? These monstrous beasts, they're from Latin American folklore. They are said to basically drink the blood of goats and other, what do they call it? Not wild stock. What's it called?
Livestock.
Close to wild stock. And our livestock. So essentially, there's been like loads of reports like throughout the years of just again, like animals being mutilated in farms, but they've been totally drained of blood. But there's not been, you know, like if you were to bite something and the blood would come squishing out, it'd be everywhere. Well, there's like there's nothing, there's no signs, like it's just the animal's not got blood in it.
It's like a vampire.
Aye, so it's essentially a vampire, which is why it's like put under the vampirism sort of category, because it's like the first kind of animal type thing apart from vampire bat. I don't know if vampire bats actually drink blood. I'm not too sure on that,
no,
but
I don't know.
It's that sort of thing. They essentially drink the blood of other animals. But I've got here like loads of different information. So it was first sported. Jesus, I'm doing well.
Somebody's wearing it.
Sported.
First sported at Fashion Week London 2012.
Wearing a Chupacabra. It was first sighted or spotted, whatever, in Puerto Rico back in 1995. But I will get on to the timeline and stuff later. But first I wanted to talk about different sightings, as in what people think it looks like. So, like I said, it's been sighted in different places. So Puerto Rico, Mexico, some sightings like mainland America, like Texas, places like that. But also like as far up as Maine, which is East Coast. And there's been sightings in Russia and the Philippines, which is interesting because apparently in the Philippines there's something called the sigben. There's something in the Philippines called the sigben, which is similar to the El Chupacabra. And it's a hornless goat. So there's like a weird goat connection going on here.
Yeah.
But essentially in like Latin America, it's described to be like the size of a small bear, and it's like a reptile, and it kind of like walks like a kangaroo, or like that's how it. No, kangaroos are like. No one can see me, but I'm doing it. You know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, they've got the wee arms out.
The wee arms out and the bouncy bounce. That's how it's meant to like move, and it's got like spikes down its back and all that sort of thing. Yeah,
creepy.
but in like Texas area, it's described as being like a dog type creature. Kind of sounds similar to a skinwalker, can I say? Short front legs at the front, but the long legs at the back, and it's like all unbalanced, and it looks like shaved. It's not got hair, but it's like a mutated dog. But scientists have debunked it, saying, it was some kind of disease that wild stray dogs had, and it was the stray dogs that were attacking the livestock, which definitely in cases I do believe.
Yeah.
But stray dogs don't drink the blood of other animals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it makes no sense. So yeah, that is some like things of what they're described of doing, but they also leave behind like again the foul odor and like people feeling like nausea and all that sort of thing around the areas. So again, wait for it. It is characterized as being the southern America, I'd say. Southern America's equivalent of a Sasquatch. What are the chances that I would find something else that was the equivalent of a Sasquatch? And the reason why that is because apparently in some cases it's described as a monkey type creature, but not a monkey. And I'm like, this is weird. So in some places it's like a lizard kangaroo, some places it's like a dog, and some places it's like a monkey. Now, did you ever see Scooby-Doo Viva La Mexico? I think that's what the film was called.
Probably, yeah.
It was so good. Well, its like film's character was a El Chupacabra, and that was the first time I came across a Chupacabra back as a child, and I remember thinking it was so cool. And in the film, it was like a Sasquatch, which is really weird that they would choose that depiction of it.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, especially if it says here in the information I found that in like Mexico and stuff, it was more described as the lizard type thing, so it's strange that they went with that in the film. Anyway, it's a cartoon, whatever, but there was a scene in it, and I was talking about it the other day there, where the Chupacabra is on a roof and Fred starts shouting, "Get down, you Bigfoot wannabe." It's so stupid.
That's really funny.
I know, it's so stupid. But yeah, however, so you've never heard of it before? Not once.
I've heard briefly. I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay, well, good job I'm here then.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, basically, I'll move on to some accounts and stuff then. And because I wrote down quite a few. They're within the timeline essentially, so I can read out both. So sorry guys, I'm going to be reading from a sheet of paper. So this is from, I'm not going to lie, I don't know how accurate this website is and how trustworthy it is. I think it might have been some kind of like college students like reports or something. I'll link the website in whatever we do. But this, and
I'll link it somewhere.
We'll link it somewhere and you'll find it. It was by some guy called Tito Armstrong, and he made this in 1996. Woo, shout out. So essentially, in the early 1970s, in a place called Brownsville, Texas, a rancher first found a dead bull drained of blood, but there was no blood or no tracks around the body. Fast forward to mid-1970s in Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, sightings of mutilated cattle, blood removed to the last drop. I think it's so strange because you'd think that there would be like some kind of like something left. Anyway,
how do they get it all out?
Well, that's it. But we get to it because there's a potential link to, wait for it,
Aliens.
UFOs. Yes!
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
But I didn't know any of this before I researched it, so what are the chances? It's a sign!
What are chances it's a sign, and what are the odds of that are like our catchphrases.
Like, see if you heard voice notes of me and Abby every single day, we just message each other being like, it's a sign!
And then nothing ever comes of it.
No, nothing happens. Universe. Anyway, moving on. In 1994 in Puerto Rico, there was 4 to 6 little greys found under someone's bed, and they chased them out of their house with a broom. I thought that was weird, but this is the wee alien connection. So little greys, I think, are a type of like small kind of alien. Yeah. Anyway, it was a report published by someone called Joyce Murphy, if anyone wants to look into that further. Moving on swiftly. 1995 again, more livestock were found with chest punctures, this time with 3 holes in their chest, drained of blood. And then it hit in 1995 that people were blaming Chupacabra for over 150 animal deaths.
Does Chupacabra mean anything, or is it just a name people have came up with?
So it means goat sucker.
Alright, did you already say that?
I did, yes.
Sorry.
It's okay. She's obviously not listening to me. So I wrote
information.
I know it's so much. I wrote it down here, so I think Chupa maybe means goat, and then cabra means sucker, or Chupa means goat and cabra mean whatever, right? But one of those ways around, and then it translates to goat sucker.
Right.
Yeah, so quite a strange name really, but it's really fun to say.
Yes.
El Chupacabra. I need to stop that. Yeah, so I'm going to fast forward to the parts in the timeline now that have the actual good stories. So 19th of November 1995 in Puerto Rico, the beast was said to have killed livestock and then burst its way into like the farmer's house, broke stuff in their house, and left like a big chunk of like white meat on the windowsill, along with like slime and like a foul smell. It apparently had big hairy arms, looked kind of like a monkey, big red eyes, and then they watched it like smash the stuff about and then leave and totally vanish.
It's really bizarre.
Check this. The exact same day, another resident then saw it attack their family dog. Again, looked like a monkey, but wasn't a monkey, kind of ran like one, but didn't have a tail, and was around 4 feet tall. So the thing I don't get is, how can it look so different in all these different places?
Well, the other thing that confuses me is looks like a monkey, but not a monkey. What does that even mean?
What does that mean? Yeah, well, I found some pictures of it online about how it's kind of depicted to look. So what I'll do is I'll put them in the Instagram post. I'll also send them to you. So I don't know if this is why there's like the alien connection, but the alien theory that I have found is pretty cool, which I will get to. But this one, they were said to have not attacked like humans before, and it's just animals they go for. But this one, the person got attacked. So get ready. 21st of December, right, at 3 a.m, and this was in 1995, the story starts, the man was out washing his car. I'm sorry, why are you out washing your car at 3 a.m? Like,
I'm already questioning the credibility of this story.
I totally agree. So he was out washing his car. He got grabbed and attacked from behind. He turned round to try fight the intruder off and realised what looked like a big hairy gorilla monkey man was around 5 feet tall. He tried to fight it off. It eventually ran off, and he like looked down and he had like cuts and everything, like claw marks sort of scored across his abdomen. So that was a strange one. I wasn't sure I really liked that one that much, but we'll go with it regardless. This is when it's getting near to the UFO stuff, but also I feel has the connection to the Skinwalker, because essentially, actually the same time, December 1995, a pregnant cow was found dead and mutilated, had no blood in its body at all, and it had no organs. Its organs had been all totally taken out. Yeah. But again, there was no blood or anything lying around. The cow had been cut from like its tongue all the way down its body to like essentially its ass. Everything had been taken out. The baby cow had been taken out. The reproductive organs had been taken out. Absolutely everything. And I thought, well, didn't you say that about skinwalkers? That's been reported.
Apparently with skinwalkers, sometimes they'll remove the reproductive organs, and that's it.
Weird. What is that?
Bizarre.
Yeah. And apparently, again, like the Skinwalker, there was like keyhole precision in the cut. Like it wasn't. There's talks that like it's been occult people that were doing it, or Satanists and stuff. But at the amount of killings that there was in like one day for animals, they said it was impossible that it was a bunch of humans going around doing it.
Also, if it was Satanists, I don't think they'd care to make it not messy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. They'd probably want the blood everywhere and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then again, no offence to Satanists, because we don't know what you do, so maybe we should do an episode on Satanists. But no, bear with me, this other one's weird, and then we'll get to the alien theory. So, May 9th, 1996, a 7-year-old boy and his family noticed their front door had randomly opened in their house. And at that point, they saw a 3 to 4 foot creature with scaly skin, clawed hands, red eyes, and a row of spiny spikes, like kind of bony spikes, running down from its skull to its bottom of its back. It was in their house. Apparently, it mumbled and gestured at them, and then proceeded to like beat up the house, trash the house, and then like jump on the little boy and like stand on his chest and stuff, and then leave.
See, when you said beat up the house, I just imagined it like punching the house, like the wall. Give me your lunch money.
Give me your lunch money, punk. El Chupacabra. No. You know what I mean? Like trash the house.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. When you said it, that's just what popped into my head.
It makes so much sense now. I'm picturing that Pokemon that's constantly wearing boxing gloves. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a wee aggressive thing. But yeah, so apparently it left a musty, wet dog smell. And apparently it's similar to how it looked is similar to the New Jersey Devil, which is a cryptid. How do you say it? I can never say the word. Cryptid in New Jersey, which I'm not going to go into because we're talking about El Chupacabra.
That's a story for another time.
Satanist versus the New Jersey Devil. Dun dun dun. I mean, that would make sense because the devil. Aww.
I thought you did that on purpose.
No, I didn't. Oh man. Right. Okay. Enough. On to UFO theory. So, as always, when these sightings have happened, what has also been sighted at the same time?
Santa.
Yes, Santa. Santa's an alien. I mean, that would explain how he gets around the world so quick. And it's not reindeer, it's just like little grey men.
Red noses.
Red noses. E.T. phone home. Anyway, sorry. So strange lights in the sky have been reported. UFOs have been reported. Some theories suggest that El Chupacabra could be the alien's pet that they let out and stuff. I don't really believe that theory.
Walk on air. And you go,
oh, he needed to pee, so we let him out and he just drank the blood of some cows. Whoopsie. But yeah, so apparently Dr. Carlos Soto stated that the wounds that were found on all these animals had regular patterns to them, where it's like a tiny incision had been made in all these animals' heads from like the skull, and it would go straight into the brain and it would kill the animal straight away. So that means when the blood was getting taken out, the animal was dead and it didn't like feel anything. Apparently this was found in a lot of the cases, and it suggested like intelligence, because whatever done it was intelligent enough to know to essentially put that animal out of its misery before they were going to steal its organs. So they're saying that it could be some kind of alien intelligence where they're taking the stuff and doing experiments.
Well, I have heard that before with aliens about I'm pretty sure I've heard about things having their blood drained. That's why when you said about it, I was like, aliens.
Alien connection. Well, I've got another quick article, like alien connection article here, and then I will like close it off and then end it on the little funny that I've got for you. But the alien article that I had was quite strange, because apparently, like in connection to it, the government have captured chupacabras before. But the article was like, oh, it's been covered up. Of course, it's been covered up. Blah blah blah. So on the 18th of November 1995, a luminous disc, some that makes no sense, this grammar's terrible, 40 foot in diameter with a row of dark windows around its centre rim, positioned itself over the antennas of the radio station in this town. The electronics in the area, all went kaput, as they do, and then chupacabras were then sighted like not long after that. So they're saying that could they have come from the spacecraft, or like, are they linked? So it's very interesting. A female witness also observed the creature in the early days of November as well. The creature meaning the chupacabra with the UFO. So there you go. I know, but what I'll do is I'll link. Did you say that's a tree?
Intriguing.
Oh, intriguing. No, we're not talking about trees right now, Abby.
That was earlier.
El Chupacabra is actually a tree.
It's interesting. It would make sense if they were linked to aliens, because if they're not just like a creature, then like when you think of aliens, you think of slime and all that. And didn't you say in a few of the reports there's been slime or like that sort of substance left behind? That would make sense.
And I guess it would make sense as to how in some places they're cited as being different types of animals, I suppose, because you get different types of aliens. So yeah. I did reach out on Reddit, and a few people on Reddit got back to me with their encounters and stuff, which was really interesting. One person said that some local guy or whatever used his pet goat as bait and shot one of the chupacabras down. She, like, before it could get to the goat, she did send us in the picture. However, when I tried to access the picture, it wouldn't let me access the picture. How weird is that, though? So yeah, why does that happen every time we research and stuff? They're on to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a couple pictures that I sent you, and I'll post if you can have a look.
I'll open that up now.
Yes. Essentially, a guy sent these pictures in on Reddit, and he was basically saying, what the hell is this? And if you look, it does kind of look like it's standing up like a kangaroo, but it also really kind of looks like it's a monkey as well. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's weird. It's confusing me that, like, it kind of looks shiny. Like, see if you look at where the head is, which makes me curious. It's such, like, it's so hard to make it out properly.
Yeah. I mean,
but that's really interesting.
See the way it's kind of leaning forward? Could it be someone on a bike pedaling, leaning forward?
It could be, but then there's the thing that looks like an arm or something, which is like...
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, it's a kind of confusing picture.
Yeah,
I wish it was better quality. So...
Yeah. The interesting thing is this was in Estonia, so that's not even obviously in America at all. So yeah, with these things, that like what you were saying earlier with the trees, with these things being in different areas of the world, it just adds to the credibility. Now, I don't know if Chupacabra is real. I'd like to believe it is, but I mean, if it got disproved, I wouldn't be that heartbroken as I would be if someone disproved the Sasquatch, which obviously they can't do because Sasquatch is real. But yeah, it's just, I think it's because of the film and stuff when I was wee.
Yeah,
so the mystery of it since then. But what do you think? What do you think?
I'm interested. I kind of don't understand how it can be the same thing if it appears as something different in each place. Yes. So how is it a monkey in some places? How is it a lizard in other places? How is it like kangaroo? That's a part that kind of makes me be like, is it, not saying that those encounters aren't real, but being like, is it the same thing or is it something else? But I am intrigued by it, and the alien connection I think is the most plausible part. I definitely think it seems like there's something to that, because there is like a thing with aliens draining blood and not leaving a trace of having done it. So it'd make a lot of sense with that. I'm intrigued. I don't know if I'd say I definitely believe or I definitely don't believe, but yes, I'll think about it.
Yeah. No, I think I stand with you on it. I think if any of the things that it apparently looks like is going to be accurate, I'm going to go with more the kind of lizard kangaroo thing, because then it would make more sense that it'd be connected to an alien.
And if it looks like a monkey, then isn't it like just a Bigfoot in that case?
Exactly. Or just a monkey. But no, I totally agree. Well, I just wanted to round the segment off then with a little thing I want to call El Chupacabra Made Me Do It. Essentially, I found a couple articles online, and it's just people going out their way to blame cryptids on murders they've committed. So recently, a few days ago, a guy in Oklahoma has been arrested and jailed for first-degree murder, but he said the Sasquatch made him do it. That he was out fishing with his friend, and apparently when they were out fishing, his friend summoned a Sasquatch to kill him, so he had to then kill his friend in return before the Sasquatch could come kill him.
What?
Right? So the guy was just out fishing, and then he got murdered because his pal was like, oh, you just summoned a Sasquatch. Yeah. And then the other weird one I found was some boy had been watching some vampire film so much that he had convinced himself that the vampire queen in the movie had been telling him through the movie that if he killed his friend, she would make him an immortal vampire. So he killed his friend for this fictional character. And then obviously got put in jail and stuff, and then was found dead a year later. So clearly he killed his friend because he was obviously insane or whatever, and then didn't get the immortality he was promised by the vampire queen. So
I don't even know what to say about things like that.
Yeah. So I just thought it was a wee stupid thing that I thought, that's funny. A wee. So yeah, don't you be blaming the trees when you murder me.
Okay, I'll blame Sasquatch as well.
No, Squatchy loves me.
She was killed by the thing she loved most.
Love hurts. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, that's all I've got. But if you want to find out more about El Chupacabra, I would recommend watching Scooby-Doo Viva La Mexico. The most credible source you'll find.
And if you want to learn more about the trees, watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, great. There we go. Recommending good movies and good times.
Well, if you don't have anything else to add, then I guess we should close it out here. Thanks very much for listening, everyone, and make sure you follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll hopefully have stuff coming very soon. There have unfortunately been some delays in that realm, but
it was the bloody Chupacabra, I tell you. We need to find a tree and ask the tree when it's going to happen.
Yes. Remember when we went into the woods and that tree started creaking and it was so scary?
was so scary. But it was the timing of it. So we went into the woods. It was quiet. Then all of a sudden it just went, and we went. I screamed. You screamed a little bit. You're so brave in these situations. I just get so
I'm
scared.
the level-headed one.
And I run away like Scooby and Shaggy. Like,
yeah. I'm Velma.
You're Velma. My glasses. Anyway, yeah.
So, yeah, do all that stuff, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks very much for listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.